Have you spent years trying to think your way into a better life? You've read the self help books. You have written the positive affirmations on your mirror. You have made that vision board year after year. But what if alignment isn't something that you figure out? What if it's something that you feel, truly feel in your body? Today, we're talking about what alignment actually feels like. Not as a concept, not as a trending buzzword, but truly feels like in you. Hello, my friends. Welcome to Aligned Ish. My name is Amber, and I am so happy that you are following along. This is episode 3, and we are going to talk a little bit about alignment and what that means, what it really means. So, thank you so much for joining us. Now, we have been taught to override our bodies, push through fatigue, ignore tension, ignore the anxiety, and then we wonder why we don't know what we want. You can't hear yourself clearly if you are disconnected from your nervous system. That's just a fact. You will never know what you truly need or what you truly want until you take a moment to pause and listen. Listen to your body, listen to your heart. Survival feels tight, but alignment feels like an open field. It feels spacious. You hear people all the time talk about being in survival mode. I even joke when somebody says, "How are you doing, Amber?" And I'm like, "Surviving, not thriving." That's usually later in the afternoon when I've had a full day of fun in work, in family, all the stress. But I am partially kidding. But when you are in survival mode, there's always going to be this sense of urgency. You're functioning in like a scarcity mindset. You're irritable if things aren't being done the way that you expect them to be done. You have a sense of urgency for absolutely no reason. You are not in a hurry to go anywhere, and it does not matter if it takes an extra 10 minutes for everyone to get out the door. There's not a deadline to be somewhere, but you are irritated. You're constantly in a sense of urgency. The other thing that you're going to experience is the mental noise. Now, I touched on it in a previous episode. When I was at a very low point, I tried to describe it to my husband. And I said, it was not that I wanted to go anywhere. It was not that I wanted to die. But imagine sitting there and you are listening to 10 different radio stations on static. You're listening to traffic, interstate, horns, honking, people yelling, people screaming, bicycle bells dinging. You've got a dozen people talking in your ear. Your phone is ringing off the hook. You have kiddos pulling on your shirt and pulling on your hands and saying, "Mama, mama, mama," all at the same time. And it's just going and going and going. And you don't know how to make it stop. That is that mental noise. I feel like it narrows. It's like you put on blinders and all you see is just the fog in front of you. Another thing you might experience is the constant doing. That is you distracting yourself. That is you refusing to feel what your body's trying to tell you. And you are being busy. Some people call it productivity. I used to call it productivity. I felt like I was being very productive because I could just check off those to-do lists over and over. But a dear friend of mine told me that I was the best person she knew at being busy. Now let that sink in. At first I was like, "Well, yeah, I'm busy." She said, "No, at just being busy." And that hit pretty hard. I wasn't being productive. I was coming up with things to do. I was coming up with more obligations. I was saying yes to every ask. I was constantly doing. I was getting depleted. And one of the hardest things when you're in survival mode is that guilt that you feel when you are resting. If you are riddled with guilt to the pit of your stomach, do you think you are really getting rest? No, you're not. Your eyes may be closed. You might even get a little bit of sleep, but you are not resting. Now, I was very much on that same wavelength. If I had tried to take a day off, even if it was to do things around the house, if I was not out being productive in my eyes, if I was not out trying to tend to my clients, bring money into the household, if I was not out there doing those things, then I was riddled with anxiety and guilt. I would get clammy. I mean, literally palm sweating because I could not stand the thought of being lazy. Now, there's a difference between a day when I just want to sit there and watch some Netflix and there are no appointments. But if I purposely block time off in my calendar because I know I need to rest, used to, old Amber would sit there and think how much I was missing out on, how disappointed my clients were going to be that they had to wait another day. And that's ridiculous. And quite honestly, if the clients get mad about that, they don't need to be my clients, right? And the bottom line is you have to take care of yourself because no one else is going to. Now let's flip that script over to alignment. Now, alignment is light. It's clarity. To me, it is like a freshly cleaned window on a blue sky day in the spring. You can see clearly. Well, when you see clearly, you're going to have that calm. You're not going to have all that mental noise. It goes all the way down to steadier breathing, slower, more thought through reactions. And this one I'm still working on, but confidence in saying no to things you truly either don't want to do, don't need to be doing. You're saying no. And those decisions actually feel calm. Now, I'm not saying that alignment, when you were in alignment, that everything is easy. I'm not saying that. I told you before, alignment is something that you will practice day in and day out for the rest of your life. But it means when you've found alignment that your body is not fighting against you anymore. It is going with the flow. You're in a flow state. You are moving forward. You are healing. I will say that having felt what I believe to be true alignment, I cannot imagine going backwards. Going back to that survival state. Even the thought of that makes me want to cry. I knew that I had found, on some level, alignment when I felt this stillness, literally stillness in my chest, in my gut, in my core, like a hug. That may sound cheesy, it may sound whatever, but it's like everything slowed down. And there was a time, old Amber, when I thought that I was aligned because I was being that productive person. I was that top producer. I was checking off the to-do lists. My resume looked incredible. I was out in the community, helping all the nonprofits, helping this, fundraising for that, planning this, planning that. But my body was exhausted. My mind was exhausted. My heart was exhausted. I was surviving barely. I was not living. I was in full-on survival mode. And if I had to bet anything, and I will not be asking this because then I'll feel bad about myself or feel a little guilty or feel like a burden, like I said before. But I guarantee you that everyone around me felt that energy, felt that chaos energy, whether they realized it or not, that was coming from me. Until I hit my wall, until I hit my breaking point, I would have probably argued with you if I said you weren't aligned. I'd be like, yes, I am. I'm living the life I always wanted. We have the children we always dreamed of, the careers. Our children are going to the school we always wanted for them. You name it. I was checking off those boxes in my head. But that did not mean that I was in alignment. That did not mean that at all. It meant that I had my own agenda and I was not listening to my body. I was not listening to God. I was not listening to the universe or whatever you would like to reference. I was not listening. I was just going full speed ahead with blinders on. So I can say with confidence that I didn't know what calm felt like in my own system at that time. Now, I would love to have your permission to try something new. Let's try something small together today. I want you to take one breath in through your nose and a long breath out through your mouth, making the sound. And when you breathe out, I want you to notice your shoulders. Are they lifted? Are they cinched up? Is your jaw, is it tight? Your body is always communicating to you. But the real question is, are you listening to it? Where in your life does your body tense up before your mind catches up? Now, maybe you have and maybe you have not. But I have worked through this with multiple clients. I've had it done to myself. There are relaxation techniques, guided meditation, yoga, whatever tool you choose to use. If you've ever done it before, you think, oh, I'm relaxed. I'm relaxed. Well, then they tell you to relax a little more and you notice, oh, I can relax more. I can unclench my jaw. I didn't realize I was holding on to that. They say to relax a little bit more and you realize, oh, I didn't realize my shoulders were in my ears. You don't realize the tension that your body is holding on to and how tightly it's holding on to it until you're forced to let it go. Now, when you are aligned, decisions don't feel frantic. They don't feel chaotic. They may feel uncomfortable, but they don't feel chaotic. You don't have to love every decision you have to make to still remain in alignment with yourself and listening to your body. One example of that would be saying no without over-explaining. I used to be that person that if I had to say no to something, I felt like I had to come up with just a justified excuse or I just couldn't say no. I would feel guilty. It just wasn't good for me. So I would just over-explain. And meanwhile, these people that are asking me to do something, they didn't care. They didn't care. It did not break their heart. I'm not that special. The fact that I needed to say no to take care of myself would have been enough. I have a couple of really good friends that have gotten very good at this. And they set boundaries. They set really good boundaries. And I'm still learning from them. But they hold Sundays as a sacred space for themselves just to rest. They know they're not setting appointments on Sundays. And if they do, it's going to be early Sunday morning and they're going to rest the rest of the day to prepare for the week. It doesn't matter what they're being asked to do. And I still ask because I would not want to ask them to do something if I'm doing it because I love them and I want to be around them. But every time that they say no with kindness and confidence, my respect for them grows immensely. I'm like, man, that's good. I really wish I had those boundaries. And you work on it and you practice it and you grow those boundaries every single day. Another thing we've touched on a little bit would be the resting without shame. You owe no one an explanation that you need to rest. Period. If you need to stay in on a Friday night, if you need to skip a group dinner, if you need to skip a party, a birthday party, or a fundraiser, because you're just that drained, then you're making the right decision. You need to rest. You're not going to have fun when you go. You're going to want to go home immediately. It's going to be a stress that you don't need added when you're already so exhausted. So you're going to have to learn to rest without that shame. And with that, learning to step back from something that's misaligned is saying yes to this opportunity in alignment with what my goals are for my life, for my family, for my, spiritual side, for my personal growth side, for my health journey. Is it in alignment? Or am I just saying yes because I feel socially obligated to? It's okay to step back from something that's misaligned with your goals. And man, I really need to give a lot of credit to, I'm going to go ahead and call her out, to my friend Lauren, because half the points I've been making have been what she's been mamaing me with. And one of those would be choosing slower over impressive. You don't have to be top of the charts every month. You don't have to be everyone's first choice as a realtor. You don't have to be winning awards in your career. Are you meeting the needs of your family? Are you enjoying your life? So choosing slower over impressive was a huge lesson that I've had to work on and will continue needing to work on. And I don't say that to be like, oh, I was impressive or I am impressive. I am not that person. I am not full of myself in any way. But that was my goal. My goal was always to be the best. Why wouldn't you want to be the best? I never understood when people weren't competitive. Why wouldn't you want to be the best? You want to be the second best? You want to be the fourth best? I don't get it. No, you want to be the best. Well, what constitutes as the best? If I am top of the charts in sales, for example, but I haven't gotten to read a bedtime story to my children in a week, I'm not being the best. I am dropping the ball on being a mama, being with my girls, being the wife that I need to be, being the mom that I need to be. I'm not showing up for them. They're getting the worst part of me. They're getting the little residual leftovers of me at the end of the day. And there for a while, I was lucky if I got home in time to see them before bed. And that caused me to be sad, which caused me to be reactive to my husband when he would, express that he was sad that I wasn't home. I took that as criticism or, whatever word you choose. I would be reactive to it. I'd be offended. Like, don't you know, I'm doing this for us. I'm doing this for our family. He didn't care about that. He wanted me, just like my girls wanted me. So that's when you realize that you found alignment. It's not going to be this huge epiphany. It's not going to be this dramatic moment with fireworks where you realize that you're aligned. That's not it. It's going to be those quiet moments when you realize that you can breathe, that you can breathe deeper without feeling like you have an elephant sitting on your chest. And if you can't relate to that feeling, then this might be the wrong podcast for you, because I'm a hot mess. And if you're not a hot mess and you're not overstressed, then this just might not be your jam. But we're being honest here. And sometimes life is heavy. Now, alignment is not going to happen overnight. I've said it time and time again. It is not a destination. It is something that you will practice daily for the rest of your life. And don't expect to redesign your life this week. You're not going to be able to do that in a week. Some people don't do it in a lifetime. So don't put that in your head. Don't set those high expectations. Don't be that person. You don't need to redesign your life this week. What you can do is ask yourself some questions. The number one question I would ask would be, what would feel 10% more aligned? What could I do that makes me feel a little bit closer to my goal? And by goal, I mean peace, rest, listening to your body. I don't mean your sales goal. What can you do this week that would help you get 10% more aligned? Does that look like going through your calendar and getting rid of anything that is just not necessary, that is just fluffing your calendar and you're doing it because you happen to have a gap on your calendar. I'm guilty of that. I definitely was guilty of that before, and I'm recovering daily. But what does it look like? Look at your calendar, whether you have a paper calendar or a Google calendar. The odds are you have one of those if you're listening to this podcast. You have some type of schedule that you've adhered to that has ran your life. Do you really need to be at all those places? I'll give you a great example. Our daughter's 5th birthday party is this Sunday. And I made a boo-boo. I have a very important work conference that starts Sunday morning for 3 days. And Sunday is the day I wanted to go to more than anything. And the first thing I did was look at the schedule to see what time the class started. Could I commute there to do the whole first half of it, make it back in time to set up for the birthday party and celebrate my daughter? That's what went through my head. How can I squeeze this together? Not, oh, that stinks, but I cannot wait to spend the day celebrating my daughter. I had to reel that in. Now, I would be lying if I said that I hadn't already started thinking the possibility through my head. And my husband quickly gave me a look of, you really saying this? And I looked at him and I did a nod and brought me back down to earth. So am I missing the conference? Yes. But is my daughter so excited about her K-pop Demon Hunter's 5th birthday party? Every day she's asking about it. Of course she's excited. She's going to want to wake up that morning and eat pancakes and celebrate because she's a big girl. So who would I be to go run off and spend the whole morning and then be rushed and stressed over getting her birthday party set up? And with the real possibility of getting stuck in traffic on the way back and not even being able to be the person to set it up. Old me would have hands down been like, this is what I've got to do. So I am very grateful for the growth over the past year. And every day, it's practice every day. And I told you, my husband, he called me out with just one look. You've got to have that accountability. You have to practice this. Now, when I look at my week and I ask myself, like, what can I do to take care of myself? What can I do to be more in alignment with where I need to be, where our family needs to be? One of the easiest ones you can check off is go to bed earlier. I get it. You're away all day. Maybe you haven't seen your spouse or your partner all day. You finally get all your to-do lists done. You get the kiddos to bed, you get their baths, you get dinner, you get to bed. And you're like, well, no, I can't go straight to bed. We haven't seen each other. We have to talk. Well, if you can't take care of yourself, it's not going to help. It's not going to be a healthy hangout. You're going to fall asleep on each other, first of all, or you're going to be miserable the next day. So maybe go to bed 30 minutes earlier and keep inching that back. I am proud to say that I have been in bed by 9 p.m. a couple of times in the last week, and it was glorious. Another way you can inch towards that alignment would be to set an honest boundary, like my friend that blocks off all of Sundays. I love that. Set the boundary. Whatever that may be. It might be that you tell yourself, I'm not going to watch TV during the week. I'm going to let my mind rest. I'm going to go to bed early. So I'm going to tell myself I am not watching television during the week. Something like that. And this one's a big one for you high achievers out there. How about you make one less commitment this week? Can you do that? Can we do that? I canceled a commitment so that I could be here doing this with you today because that's where I wanted to be. That's where I really wanted to be. So I chose to change my plans. Old me would have been like, no, I've got to do this. I've got to do this. I didn't need to be there. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do what I was going to do today, tomorrow, and it's all going to work out just fine. But the thought of changing my calendar before Jesus. You would have thought you were asking me to run a marathon. I would have looked at you like you were crazy. And now this is a big one. It's going to be painful for you stubborn people. But can you ask for help? That may be asking your partner to take over bedtime duties on a day that you've had a long day. Don't just muster through it and be ill about it. Go to your partner and ask, like, can you please tag in? Can you be my tag team partner? My husband will love that because he loves wrestling. But ask for help. Are they going to say no? You got bigger issues if they're going to say no. Okay? Ask for help. That could even look like taking an extra 30 minutes before you go pick up from daycare so that you can have a quiet moment. I have literally gone down the road from our youngest daycare, sat in the Ace Hardware parking lot with no noise in my car, and set a timer for 20 minutes just so that I could breathe and stare out the window. And you know what? I don't regret it one bit. It was amazing. But that was me allowing the daycare to help give me more time, to give me space to breathe after a long day. It could look like asking your parent or your friend if they could come help you catch up on your laundry. Somebody is going to help you, okay? Your kiddos might even help you, but no one's going to help you if you don't ask. It's plain and simple. And your alignment grows in these small, honest moments. It doesn't grow from scheduling a time in your calendar to sit down and focus on your goals and alignment. That's not how that works. So give yourself a little bit of grace. I know life is hard. I know being a parent, being a mother, a sister, a friend, being a woman in this world can be hard. You're not confused about where your life's going. You've just been disconnected, and reconnection is possible. It's easier than you think. And we can do that together. So next week, we're going to talk about why being the strong one comes at a cost and how to begin putting some of that weight down. All right. I want you to take a deep breath with me in through your nose and out through your mouth. And I want you to feel your body relax from your head down to your neck. Relax those shoulders, get them out of your ears, and just notice your body feeling a little bit less tense. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. This is Aligned-ish. So until next time, stay aligned-ish.